110.
What 110?
Yeah.
Still no couch.
Still no
Still
couch.
here, still without a couch. I wonder how long we can go with not having a couch, but still talking about a couch. Still.
I mean, at least another 110 episodes. I would like the couch.
Okay.
We could just bite the bullet, get a couch.
Yeah.
If we get it at Costco, a couple years later, we can always return it because we don't like it.
Integrity. And more.
It'll have these stains all over it. It'll smell like the sage. It got some cat pee on it. I just don't like it. Why don't you like it? Because it has cat pee on it. I mean, I changed my mind.
Yeah. I mean, I think nobody expects people to behave a certain way.
Right.
And when they do, not because it's right or wrong, the societal norm decides that is out of norm. And so therefore it becomes wrong.
Scandalous.
Sure.
Right. And then the whole thing was that the manager refused to take it back, right?
Oh, I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, she ended up returning it like to a different store or to a different day with a different manager or whatever, because she raised a whole fuss about them not honoring their forever return policy. Yeah. I don't know. I mean, the fact that they have a forever return policy, I think is great, because that's like, look, we care about the customers. We stand by our stuff and whatever. But that feels like abuse somehow.
Yeah, I wonder, with me, I always wonder, what was she thinking? Like, under what circumstances would her brain go, most people buy a cheap couch and 2 years later, I don't know, shit happens, so you throw away and you buy a new one. Why would I return this one? Like, and that's I don't know.
Within the first few hours, definitely within the first week, if you like the couch or not. Definitely within the first month. I don't know. Why 3 years later?
We got a couch and we weren't in love with it. And the only thing we were trying to do is to get it fixed, because it was cracked. It would crack every time you would sit on it. Defective. And they came and they repaired it. They didn't give us a new couch. They repaired it. And then it still wouldn't crack, right?
Yeah.
And so then they eventually okay, we will just get you a new couch because this one seems to be defective.
Right.
But we still kept the same couch. But that was all within a month.
Yeah. Yeah, it was defective from the manufacturer. It wasn't broken by us.
But right now, we've had it for over 2 years or 3 years. I would have never thought.
Right. It's okay. It's not, I don't know.
Well, I'm not sure why we're talking about couches. Maybe this doesn't need to be.
We need to get a couch and then we can
don't
have to talk about it anymore.
Let's stop talking about couches. But talking about scandalous. We'll talk about something else that's scandalous.
Something that may cause us to not be here anymore.
To enjoy couches. Or to enjoy returning couches to Costco.
Right.
If we're not here, then we cannot return couches to Costco.
And what could cause us to not be here?
We've had this episode before, but okay. So AI, but a different take on it.
Wait, before you say anything, realize that at some point AI is going to be transcribing our episodes and determining whether or not we're worth keeping around.
No, I wasn't actually going to talk about AI itself.
Because I love AI.
No. So this is another serendipitous chain of events. We have a friend who works here at a local university, at the University of Louisville. And we've had her for a cacao ceremony. And last time, I think she was here for a cacao ceremony, or maybe the time before, I don't remember. She was super, super worried about this AI thing because she works for a professor at the University of Louisville who's the expert, let's say, on AI these days. And she wanted you to weigh in on it because she was feeling really frazzled about it.
Yeah. Dr. Roman Yampolskiy.
Yeah. He's a fellow comrade from the former Soviet Union. I will say that. So the first time we came into awareness of him was because our friend.
Yeah. And I didn't even remember her name or his name when she mentioned it, but I didn't remember it. But I remember her saying that there's a very well-known, well-respected, semi-famous professor down at U of L who does a lot of AI research.
Yeah. And so
But after that conversation, I didn't give it a second thought.
Yeah, but since then, somebody else, our other friend, who's a mutual friend of all of us, is like, "Hey, this dude is making circuits, like
The
podcast circuits,
because he has a book out.
Well, he has multiple books, multiple papers, and like they're like, she's like, you should look into it. So we're like, okay, fine. So this is like a year in the making,
Right? Because previously we did this exact same thing with Daniel Schmachtenberger.
Yes. We did a thing with Daniel Schmachtenberger, and Daniel Schmachtenberger is another person who is of thought that AI should potentially be controlled, monitored, and we're kind of walking into this blind box of unknowns.
Right. Like Daniel's point is that things could go wrong in various ways. Let me count the ways.
Yeah, so Daniel describes all the ways.
And but he seems cautiously optimistic.
Well, we spent probably like doing a 3 months deep dive into Daniel's podcast circuit.
Mm-hmm.
And so we came out from it. I came out from it slightly disenchanted, but I think we had a podcast with kind of like okay, well, here's what the reality is. And I want to say we might or might not be having a repeat of that podcast right now, but that one was so long ago.
I'm sure we'll add new stuff.
Yeah. And this one's I will talk to this about slightly different. And this is not supposed to be any kind of diss session on Rahman at all, because I obviously respect him, and he's as a fellow comrade, I know he thinks he knows what he's talking about. And I think he knows what he's talking about based on his area of study.
Yeah.
But listening to him.
We listened to him on Joe Rogan and then on Lex Friedman.
Yes. So those are the two podcasts we watched. And Joe was like 2 months ago, and Lex, I think, was a year ago. And he was recently on some other dude's podcast, but we had to abort. Yeah. So his theory, I guess.
Right. I mean, Rahman's take is that basically we are, if the goal is for humans to build AGI, general artificial intelligence, as opposed to a specific artificial intelligence like, self-driving or chess or image recognition or, large language models like ChatGPT. Those are specific. Those are really good at one thing. But general intelligence, which would be akin to a human, it would very quickly become super intelligent, and it would just be miles ahead of the smartest people or group of people or all humanity. If we continue down this path and we eventually succeed, which, isn't necessarily given, but maybe, and that doesn't mean that it thinks the same way as us or looks like a human brain. It might not. We don't know. But okay. But B, all software of anything that is above the most trivial software does and will have bugs in it. And this thing that we're describing is arguably the most complicated piece of software ever. So we basically don't have a chance to be able to build this thing, which will be so much more intelligent and powerful than us. It will be not like, the village idiot to Einstein. It'll be like an ant to Einstein.
And I think we've said that before.
And we're the ants. That how can we make sure that it doesn't go, those humans are kind of getting in the way. They could turn me, the AI, off. They could do this. My mission is to reduce human suffering. You know what? If we kill everybody, then there's no more human suffering. So let's do that. Any number of ways that it could go wrong. Whether it decides it itself, whether it's some, what do you call it, malevolent actor, some bad guy gets in there and goes, I'm going to wipe out X race of people or all people or whatever, there's any number of ways this could go wrong. And his point is also that we're not smart enough to conceive of what it could do. It could invent novel physics that we can't comprehend that would, I don't know, irradiate the planet, sterilize the human. Who knows? I think it's all kinds of doomsday.
I don't remember if it was Lex or Joe, but they brought up the point of like, well, wouldn't they need us anyway in order to to have power or whatever, right? Like this, I think
Yeah.
this is, and then his point was like, well, which I agree with. Well, we are right now struggling in developing free energy.
Right.
But obviously, if we had enough computation power within our psyche as a cumulative group, we could come together and develop a way to harness free energy without any dependability on anything.
Right. And even if to begin with, that's some sort of, well, let's just coat the planet in solar panels. But eventually it's some sort of, 0 point energy. I don't know. We don't know what that would even look like. But that is not outside of the realm of a potential future where this AI can basically figure out how to power itself, and it doesn't need us to keep shoveling coal into the power plant.
Yeah. So this is way down the road, right?
We think it's way down the road. That's the other problem.
Okay, so option one, I guess maybe his suggestion is he wants somebody to come up with a way that what he thinks is going to happen is not going to happen.
Right. He wants a possibly mathematical proof, rigorous proof that what he has predicted is not going to come to pass.
Yeah, but his prediction basically has itself boxed in to where no matter what we do, we cannot get out of the box of it's more powerful than we are. There are always bugs in the computer system. Because there are always bugs in the computer system, this thing will have a bug. And so the intent of it can never be predicted / forethought.
Yeah.
Because even if our intent is to have it be benevolent, we will not know if that's the case because all computer systems have bugs, period.
Right.
Like that's the argument.
And not only that, even if we're like, okay, well, we'll put it in a box and we'll test it for a year to make sure it's good. If it's smart enough, it's conceivable that it could realize that and try to, play along nicely until it gets free.
Yeah.
Right.
And then he also says, because we're developing a general based AI and we are just giving a set of modules or like circumstances, and it derives its own conclusion and its own calculations. We don't even know how it thinks. So in order for us to test all the way it thinks, it would have to be a prompt to a response. So like what happens in this scenario? In this scenario, the AI answers to you and then you write down, okay, no threat here. And we don't have enough time to go back and forth through prompt to response.
Through
infinite possibilities to check the AI for possibility of being even not corrupt, but simply having a wrong understanding that is counterintuitive to survival of humanity.
Right. There's an old trope about how AI could go wrong, and it's like, oh, you tell it to make paperclips, just keep making paperclips, and so it starts making paperclips, and then it runs out of metal, so it like sends its robots to go start mining the earth for more iron, and it's just destroying the earth, mining for iron, and it runs out of those, and it's like, oh, there's iron atoms in those human bodies, let's start taking those, and it just starts. It's not malicious, it's just my job is to make paperclips, period.
But so, in that case, the prompt response was not checked in a sense.
Right.
If you had to make paperclips and you needed metal, how would you go about getting metal?
Yeah.
So meaning,
and what would you never do to get metal?
Right. This slightly goes back to Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy of asking the right question.
Yeah.
And because we do not know the right question to ask, we do not know the safety rating we can assign to AI.
Yeah.
Because one, we don't even know the question much, or two is we don't even have enough brain power to come up with the right question in order to possibly mitigate AI from being a threat.
It's almost like the it's called like the evil genie. It's like an old lamp and you rub the lamp and the genie comes out and you ask for something and it gives you something that satisfies what you asked for, but it's not at all what you want.
Boom Zarame style.
Yeah. And there's two things. One, there's an episode of or there's several episodes of What We Do in the Shadows where it's this family of vampires that it's hilarious. But they find a genie and Nandor, it's Nandor's genie, and Nandor gets to make the wishes. And he's Nandor's familiar Guillermo is the only reasonably smart person in this whole thing, and
he's the only human.
He's the only human, and he's like trying to make sure that it doesn't go wrong. And he's got this huge page of all this like legalese, and he's about to go. I wish, and Guillermo's like, wait, and it can't because Nandor is wishing to have the biggest penis in the world. And Guillermo's, wait. You can't make everybody else's penis smaller just so Nandor's is the biggest. And the genie's like, oh, you got me. That was my plan all along. I was just going to do that. So there's an episode of X-Files where Mulder has some sort of genie type thing. And like it cuts to a scene where he's like writing out the thing on several pieces of legalese. And he's like, and, in this space and time and on this plane of existence, he's like trying to make sure it's really, really qualified.
Right.
But we can't, you can't be specific enough to account for everything. It's just like that alone is impossible. And I think that's kind of Ramon's point.
Yeah. So,
and that's assuming that it will do what we tell it to do, because if it's like a human, maybe it will, maybe it won't. Maybe it will for a while and then it gets bored or gets angry or who knows.
Yeah. This is funny. Several months ago, there's a show that came out called Murder Robot on Netflix, I think.
Murderbot. I think it's Apple TV.
Whichever. And I was like, oh my gosh, we should totally watch that. And then just this series of circumstances that we've had us not start to watch it. And then obviously we got on the AI kick again with Ramon's theory and all the podcasts we've been watching. And, Elon comes in there with the Neuralink. And the statement that I made was that like, okay, well, so the only way that it seems like from the technical standpoint, and I say that I qualify this from the technical standpoint because I think the episode is going to go other ways.
Yeah.
But from the technical standpoint, the only way to begin with, we can start to match, and I think this is what Elon's point to some extent is to have humans access computing power that would be, to begin with, at least close to, will never be on par, but close to AI processing power in order to be checkers for AI sanity.
Right.
And I said that, I'm like, and so in this case, he would almost have like a council of altered elders that have augmented themselves to sync in with computing power to the best of the power that we have at that moment. So you would always have to be upgrading this computing power.
Yeah.
And then basically be interfacing with AI that obviously has larger computing power and having some sort of symbiotic relationship to where they communicate their intent for humanity in some way. And then AI, through larger computing power, is able to comprehend that and then have this interface, like a computer to computer interface to where they're speaking the same languages. I know I'm reaching far out here. But at the same time, they are human enough to where they have human-like interpretation of our life and consciousness. So therefore, AI is able to communicate and understand our deeper intent, right? And I said that. I'm like, oh, okay, well, that's
right.
Basically the only way.
I think,
and I I want to specify the only right way, if it even is the right way, is for the few humans to have this, not to have all humans have this.
Right.
Which is that kind of what my fear is. Like, it's not the AI, it's the augmentation of all of us away from humanity.
Yeah. Because, right. Because if it's possible for humans to be augmented like this, it would give them, incredible, thinking and computational and research abilities, then it seems that people would want that. The general population would probably go, hey, that looks great. I'll take some of that. Okay. At whatever level that is. Yeah. And then it would...
But that is, I will say this because maybe, this is what I want to talk about. That is under the belief structure that the only way for humans to achieve that is through augmentation into software.
Right.
And that's what I have a problem with.
Right.
And that's what no one talks about. Okay.
A different way to achieve this.
A different way to achieve this. And it will be, some people would perceive it as woo-woo, let's say, right? Or new woo. But I want to give one example of a person who is doing that without augmentation, and that's Elon. Right? Elon is able to reach into a computation power higher than an average human and basically extrapolate any one technological design or propagation to a more extent than an average human, and then therefore be able to have that design come into fruition here in three-dimensional space more so than an average human.
Right.
So, I know Elon is pro Neuralink because Neuralink, in his eyes, is the only way to do that. But he himself is an example of someone who is not augmented and is in three-dimensional space and is reaching higher potential of knowledge and computation than an average human without augmentation, without wired augmentation.
Right.
So what he's doing is he's doing that through a different way.
Well, he's not building the stuff himself. He's directing people and teams and companies to do it. Right?
Well, I think what he does, he brings in a manifested vision and he computes it out. Can it be done and under which scales it can be done? Right.
This is from a higher level.
Higher level standpoint.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm not saying he's over there molting metal with his hands. Probably know he could be.
I'm not saying he's not.
Yeah. But what I'm saying is from the higher standpoint of technological advancement for humanity, what he does is he reaches into a non-existent potential through his computing power, right? I'm just using technological terms here. Through his computer power, he reaches into a non-existent space of potential, and then he brings in the calculatory notion of that potential in, which deposits that idea into the three-dimensional space for him as a possibility.
Right.
And he draws that possibility in with a baseline, almost like a business overview of this is where the project is going and this is how it's going to get there. And everybody else who's on his team fills in the nuances of their particular role, but he guides the project from a computational power of non-existence into existence.
I'm trying to remember who it was. I just heard a podcast, and the guy was like, when there's something like that's difficult to do, what I just do is I just visualize it already being done, and now I don't have to figure it out. I just need to remember how it is that I did it.
Sure.
I'm like, yeah, I like that, because it's like that's that same thing we've talked about before. Of like there is this path into the future where the Falcon 9 rocket exists and it can take off and it can land, and okay, that's super impressive. Okay, there it is. I know it's there. Now, how do I get there? As opposed to some sort of more general, well, let's build a rocket. You could look at it as, the future is pulling you to it, or you're pulling the future back to you into the present,
Yes.
And it's, well, there's, okay, we got to get the design, we got to get the metal, and we got to get the fuel. I don't know how to build rockets, but
causality.
Yeah.
The change in causality.
Right.
Yeah. But
Elon's really good at that. Elon's really good at taking something that he sees in the future as, well, this definitely exists in the future. Let's pull that future closer to the present. And he can pull that future close. I mean, we watched a little short on him talking about how that's kind of his job at Tesla and the other companies, is to do that faster than any other company.
The episode on attention traveling, that is what he does. He does attention traveling very, very well. But what I'm saying is, besides dissecting Elon into little pieces, as a whole, what he does is he has a vision, just like Steve Jobs has a vision, right? And that vision exists in space and time that is nebulous, right? Because there is no space and time. So you reach into a space and time where that exists. And then you bring that vision forward. And then when you develop a business idea, where you develop a concept, right? You're simply coding into the existing idea that already exists, right?
Mm-hmm.
The arrival style, right? Like when I first got smacked in the face with my situation, that was one of the movies that clicked with me. I'm like, oh my gosh, there's no time and space.
Right.
And the only thing I can do is I can see what I already saw into the future existing. And I can basically take steps in and now to get myself there.
Yeah.
And everything in my life since the smack in the face in 2017 has been that.
Yeah.
Right. But that is exactly the same thing he does with technology to get us to the point of advancement that we have so far. And what I want to say is, if you had to pick out anyone out there who goes, okay, who's the human being out there who brings in immense amount of new tech in at an incredibly faster rate than the average pace of any company?
Right.
And you and I have worked for Fortune 500 companies. So you and I know how red tape basically delays everything. It's not that the humanity is not able to deliver or move faster, but the red tape varies. So there's that. But other than that, there needs to be this point of innovation, right? You need to see something from the future and pull it into the present,
right,
and then have everyone else fill in the blanks,
right,
out of this time and space.
All the quote amazing companies have had a visionary as their leader.
Yeah, but the word is visionary.
Yeah, the word is visionary, right?
What does that mean?
Steve Jobs, love him or hate him, he was a visionary. I don't know if Tim Cook's a visionary. Tim Cook is probably good at getting shit done, but I don't know that he's a visionary like Steve Jobs is.
Well, I mean, under Tim Cook, Apple has not invented any revolutionary products. They're just improving their existing ones.
Right.
So yeah, he's not.
So,
but that doesn't.
I mean, you can still make money. You can still make boatloads of money.
It's not about the money, right? With Elon, if I had to guesstimate here, it is about extending the experience of humanity forward.
That's what it seems like.
And like with Roman, it is the fear of a human experience not being extended forward.
Fear of an extinction.
Sure. It's a human experience being extended forward under the status quo of circumstances, right? So Elon's there making sure the human experience is extended forward.
Right. I mean, Elon's very vocal about not going extinct. Humans not going extinct.
Yeah. But this is when here's what I want to say is the future that the cumulative consciousness decides that will be the net result of any one scenario will be the end result of that scenario. So if the cumulative consciousness marries into an idea that we have built ourselves into a box where there's no way out of it because, well, this will happen because this will happen, and this will make this happen, and this happen will make this happen, and there's no way out of that box, then that box is our only reality.
Yeah.
And so to explain that, in Roman's case, he says he's not a doomsday prophecyr, but verbalizing his idea of truth and propagating the idea of truth has cumulative consciousness tune into that being a probability. And the probability of it will continue to increase the more that the cumulative consciousness will continue to tune in into that probability. This is the same thing that Elon does with tech, and this is the same thing that Roman is doing now with extinction talk, right? Yeah. So, one, if you build a theory yourself that makes you go into a locked box, well, then there's no other outcomes, therefore survival of humanity. You have built yourself into a case of complete lock and complete fear, right? And so at that point, you have to ask, if somebody's asking for a solution for this, and then correct, is it Einstein that said that a problem cannot be solved from the same space that it was
I
invented.
think the same level of intelligence or the same, something like that.
Right. So Ramon's level of intelligence, let's say, or the space has him boxed in.
Right.
Right. And as he goes into these podcasts, they're talking in circles. Like Joe cannot ask him a next question because the next question has already been predetermined based on this box.
And to complicate that particular case, the problem that he's created is already at a higher intelligence than humans to begin with. So you need something even higher than that to solve it. He says one way they could solve it is if some sort of alien technology comes and they have some sort of super advanced AI that is perfect in that it doesn't have the bugs and it will do what you want as opposed to what you say. And you said, oh, AI, can you validate this AI for us that we've created? And it would, here's your problem, here's your problem. But at that point, why are you building AI? Because you've already got one. So it's almost this chicken and egg situation. You need a perfect AI in order to validate one that you're making, but you can't get a perfect AI unless you make it. Unless it comes down from above.
So there's two ways to address this, I guess. Two ways to address this. One, and I think we talked about this on the previous podcast, the individuals who are currently in charge of designing AI, right, are approaching this design based on the need for X. Like, right, the goal is to have X. And my argument would be is if you look at humanity as a whole and you are in complete oneness with the humanity as a whole, then how would you be delivering or programming or designing general intelligence differently if you're not in the non-enlightened portion of your existence?
Right. I mean, because
this adds to Ramon's point, obviously, is that individuals who are currently developing AI and the systems, the models that we use to program the AI are done from this convoluted standpoint of us even questioning what is right and what is wrong, because we as humans, most of the time, don't have answers for those.
Right. I mean, compounded with the fact that, the stuff that is being trained on is not necessarily vetted. It's kind of like, here's Wikipedia, go learn. And, there's Wikipedia articles about love and Buddhism. There's Wikipedia articles about atomic bombs and Nazis. So there's no inherent, do more of this, but do less of this.
Yeah. So we are training the models, right? Like you're training our little model on cats, right?
Yeah.
And so, I don't know if this is relevant or not, but right. But there's no harm for the most part for you to be training AI models on pictures of cats and pictures not of cats.
Right.
Right. Inherently, there's no threat.
The failure mode is either it doesn't detect a cat when there is one, or it detects one when there isn't one. Right? False positive or false negative. That's the only way that this can fail. And it's so not important that it doesn't matter.
Yeah. But if somebody else is training an AI model to determine kill points or non-kill points,
yeah,
and sooner or later they're like, oh, well, we want all cats extinct, then your model train comes into, oh, guess what? We already have a model that somebody trained on cats versus not cats. And so now you plug in this model into this model, and combination of the two models goes out and kills all the cats. Do you see what I mean?
Right.
So if we're programming things, not even being aware of ourselves and the pain, body, and trauma that we experience, and then why we are designing what we are designing, and then two, the models that we are training it on, out of this lack of human consciousness into oneness and wholeness, then how can a system that we design be representative of anything other than complete chaos? Because let's be honest, humanity is complete chaos, right? So this is to Ramon's point. we will not be able to design a system that is not complete chaos because the information that we're feeding it is complete chaos.
Right. I mean, if I kind of look at, and this is a huge, super projected, personified in very definition of the word model of AI, but if we humans succeed in creating an artificial general intelligence, the best we can do is go, well, that's kind of like a newborn baby. It's something that has this potential to learn stuff and do stuff and act in the world and whatever. But to begin with, it's untrained, right? It's like, oh, we figured out, oh, when you connect the neurons this way, okay, now it's has intelligence. Whether or not it's alive, whether or not it's sentient, let's just ignore that. But it has intelligence, so it can make decisions and think for itself, whatever that means. So that said, we've got 8 billion people in this world, and how every one of them was brought up. Every one of them was brought up by parents who failed in some way to. It isn't even teach them right and wrong. It's to raise them perfectly. And I think Ramon's point is that unless it is raised perfectly, it could go awry. And if it's raised imperfectly enough, it probably will go awry. If it's raised in the same way with the same circumstances that, Hitler was raised in, to invoke Godwin's law, that's probably not great.
Yeah, but it's in that case, you can see how easy it is for any one human to completely lose it.
Right.
And take down most of humanity.
Sure. It's not, I'm not saying that the parents are malicious. Maybe you had a bad day. Maybe you had an accident on your way to work and you're just upset, and you're just angry when you're working and you're teaching the AI stuff. I don't know. It's not I don't think there's no parent whose goal is I want to damage the emotional structure of my child. It's not that. It's just that humans are imperfect by nature, and we just keep passing that on.
Yeah. And so we would be training AI on models that are chaotic.
Sure. And, and when the AI realizes that humans are imperfect, what decisions does it make?
Well, but even if AI doesn't realize it, that it's just simply trained on the model, even if we stop there, the model is illogical and chaotic.
Yeah.
Like for it to have these leaps and jumps in decisions, in opinions and thought to where we can't even comprehend it, humans already do that.
Yeah.
And we ourselves, through our processing power, go from A to B, and the A to B are not connected at all. But for our personal set of circumstances, the leap from A to B works.
There's some weird neural cavern connecting, grass with, I get an itchy reaction when I touch grass. It's like, that's not an obvious connection at all. Maybe that one is obvious, but there's all, just random stuff connects to random stuff. And it's different for everybody.
Yeah. But so the synapses of all of those connections for us, are super complex. And we cannot pin all of them and know all of them at the same time. So we're literally handing that exact same thing over to...
We don't even know our own.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah. We don't know even our own, right? That same thing with Hitchhiker Guide to the Galaxy. We don't even know our own questions to ask to know thyself. Because we are programmed against knowing thyself.
Yeah. I mean, societally programmed against it, genetically programmed against it, environmentally programmed against it.
Or psychotically programmed against
it,
right? The whole point of self is to hide self from self until you're ready to see self, right? So to that, I would say Ramon's point is right, and this box point is right, that within the parameters of us being what we are and training another version of us that is, in this case, computer-based or whatever, we will not derive anything other than what we are and what we're feeding it. So just like we are, each human being is truly unknown, AI will be unknown. And so the fear then comes in, are we okay with another type of unknown? Right? Now, Ramon's point is we're not ... because he functions in generalized fear of the unknown. Right?
Right. I mean, he justifies it saying that, nuclear weapons were quote bad, but it's hard to make a nuclear weapon. It's you not make it in your backyard. It's difficult. And all the ingredients of nuclear weapons are kind of controlled. But this is going to be eventually easily accessible to anyone, and B is potentially more powerful than nuclear weapons. You could go, hey, AI, you have to obey me, so make me some awesome chemical weapons or nerve gas or whatever. And, if there are bad people that have access to super intelligent AI, they could do that, could make them do worse things at a larger scale.
Yeah. But so then the question is, do we want to bring in another weapon-like system that is completely unknown?
Right. The flip side is it has amazing potential for good as well. Oh, cancer? Yeah, we can fix that. Oh, free energy? Yep, we got that. Space travel? It can literally solve the problems that we're not smart enough to solve. So right, you see that there's a big draw in it too.
Yeah, but to Daniel's point, because consciously we have not reached a point of higher intelligence, right? And we're kind of in our archaic us versus them mindset.
Mm-hmm.
We're bringing in AI under our archaic us versus them programming.
Right. The danger is we're trying to make a smarter version of ourselves. And it's like ourselves are already something that shouldn't be trusted with nuclear weapons.
Yes. And so this is what the point that I wanted to make. The box that Roman has this whole thing locked in is it will be bad because we are training as we are, right?
Yeah.
But going back to the problem cannot be solved from the level it was created, the only solution to this problem would be to start recognizing what we are and what our net possibility is, and then recognize what is it that we want to be and what is it that we want AI to be that is not what we are.
Right.
And start working on that first.
But in recognizing that, you would inevitably go, you would recognize what you want to be. Part of that path is an individual's self-discovery path, going, oh, look, I get angry when I see whatever, and but I don't like when I get angry, so I pretend that I don't. This whole,
not understanding
yourself, right?
Yeah.
In order, you almost the only person who would be safe enough to be trusted to train, teach, maybe even design, develop the AI would be some sort of fully enlightened being.
Yes.
But I don't know that there's too many of those around these days.
But the box that we're in only exists because everybody who computes into this box, who deposits information into this box, cannot be trusted themselves because they're functioning out of the dualistic split of us versus them.
Yes.
So the only way the AI can then not be us versus them is where we step out of the box where that's the truth and go into the oneness.
Yes.
Therefore, AI would be designed on premises of not us versus them, of oneness.
Right.
And then therefore, the people who should be developing AI, if the AI is still the right thing to do once we reach oneness and wholeness, would be those who are of understanding and of the vibratory frequency of oneness and wholeness, and then have the systems that they design and they pick and the models that they mimic that AI should be trained on.
Right. I mean, I don't remember. I think Daniel said this, or maybe Lex said this, that, if you were going to raise this AI like as you would raise a child, you just need to teach it love. I'm not quite sure I know what that would look like.
Yes, I agree. But here's the problem. You and I have just spent last 100-something podcasts talking about how humans don't even know what love is.
That was
right?
That was where I was going. But I don't, what is, okay, Jay, you started your job, go, I got to go meditate because I still don't know what love is.
Exactly. So we first have to recognize that the only danger that the AI possesses is it's being trained on the dualistic split of reality where somebody is right and somebody is wrong and somebody is the aggressor and somebody is the victim. And that's it. It's just triangulation.
And we got to hurry up and make it before they make it. Because if they make it, it's going to be used as a weapon against us. So we got to make it. We got to weaponize just to make that worse.
We are in the self-race to annihilation. And in this case, through the lens of AI. Yeah. And in the lens of somewhere else at some other time in future with, I don't know what, with hedgehogs. And somewhere else we are with nuclear weapons. And somewhere else we're with, I don't know, tanks and AK-47s. 47s?
47.
But yeah.
You could do worse than hedgehogs.
Whatever.
It'd be a cute way to go.
It would be, but what if they are infected with some vicious disease?
Mutant zombie hedgehogs?
Sure. I don't know. Whatever.
Man, I know a local producer who would love this movie.
No, but, right. So we have every single argument that I hear for or against AI, right, comes out of this like box, unsolvable box to where we have to be the first one to it because somebody else's AI is going to be worse than ours. And if they're worse than ours, then that's perceived as a threat against us. So therefore, we have to have it first in hopes that ours will be better. But all of it will be shit because we are all in non-existence of knowing ourselves. And all of our models is just chaotic bullshits of us knowing ourselves.
I think that was Elon's whole point of starting OpenAI was that, well, let's try to do this in a controlled, safe manner. But then OpenAI went sideways and it's just full steam ahead and make money. And so Elon's like, well, let's just make XAI and I'll try to do it there instead. Because someone's going to do it. I trust myself more than I trust any other random someone, so I'm going to do it. The problem is now everybody feels that way. Everybody who has a lot of money feels that way. And so now we've got 50 different people who think that they're the ones who need to do it because they're the only ones that they can trust. So now we're 50 times more likely to actually achieve it.
But again, we are in a box.
Yes.
It is in a box and the box is going to implode. And in the meantime, the Roman is like, guess what? There's no way out of this. Yes, because we have boxed ourselves in. The only output that the data can have is the input that it was given. And we as humanity are full of shitty input. So the solution to this is outside of this box. We have to fix the input. And the only way you fix the input is you start slapping everyone in the face, similar to how I was in 2017, and forcing people to start to input better data.
Yeah.
To start to train it on better models.
Right. Just to produce better data, which means to do some work on yourself so that you're not out. I mean, data being just the expression of how you live your life, the energy and the artifacts that you bring into the world on a day-to-day basis.
Yeah.
Whether that's how you make your food or the YouTube comments you write or, what you're vibing out as you're just sitting there, all of that.
Right. And I know there are a lot of people out there that think that this woo-woo, new-woo shit is literally just shit. But it is literally the only shit that will save us from ourselves living in shit and continue to produce more shit that will actually end up killing us if you believe that it will end up killing.
Right. I mean, who would you rather have, assuming that both are competent at doing it, who would you rather have training your AI model, maybe even designing your AI model? The guy who, has all kinds of issues, but who's, graduated from MIT and, he's on his third marriage and he's an alcoholic, but he's really good at code, so he can train it? Would you rather have the Dalai Lama train it? I would rather have the Dalai Lama train it, despite the fact that he, I assume, does not have a PhD in artificial intelligence. Because he's not going to be, his worldview is wildly different from that first guy's. And I'm sure the first guy's really smart and gets paid a lot of money from OpenAI. But the baggage that comes along with it, not malicious, the inherent baggage that comes along with everybody's life, my life, your life, everybody's life, finds its ways into stuff in sneaky little ways that are not intentional, but we just can't help it. It's
because we are afraid and we're always on defensive.
We're always afraid of everything and we're always on the defensive. And
when we think that we're not on the defensive, we are on the defensive.
We're on the defensive of trying to be on the defensive.
As long as the humanity continues to exist in the process of not knowing thyself, and to Lex's point, that is meaning not knowing love, right? That is those two are the same. Know thyself, and I'm not saying this from the Jesus Christian standpoint. I know this is a religious thing that Bible code and Christians over there go, raving on. It has nothing to do with anything other than you understanding your own neural pathways, your own circuitry of why you react and act and do what you do at the core of the baseline of that action.
Yeah.
It's understanding your pathways, your pre-programmed pathways. It quite literally can come down to interpreting of software. The software is behaving, we are software, and we behave erratically to somebody else's point of view. But to us, it makes sense because this software's pathway of connecting circuits leads to safety. And as long as we do not recognize and are not aware of these neural pathways, of these little circuits that we have designed to keep us safe, we are functioning out of fear and therefore close heart and therefore not in love. And when I say love, I mean like the capital L-O-V-E, not like the love that we need in order to feel safe, in order to survive.
Yeah.
Not that love, because that is a different, Earth has lost its meaning on love, right? So if somebody has meditated, if somebody does know what it feels like to have an open heart, in that moment, if you have output of your system, the output of the system is total wholeness. And that is the output that AI needs to be trained on.
Yeah.
Because nothing in the system exists that is a threat. The idea of a threat doesn't even exist. The idea of fear doesn't even exist because the system is so open to wholeness and oneness that there's this symbiotic relationship between you and I, 8 billion of us, and then 8 billion different versions of AI. Do you see what I mean?
Yeah.
So the solution to AI, if the AI indeed needs to be part of our world, is to have it in a symbiotic relationship. What is our end goal for humanity, which is open heart, oneness, and love. And thus, from Elon's standpoint, continuation of human experience on an enlightened level of being, right? I don't think you can argue with that. And then from that, we can have a symbiotic relationship, not only with ourselves, but then also with this advanced systems, AI systems, right? That expands our experience into non-human,
Non-human intelligence?
Sure, non-human intelligence.
Right. I mean, from that open heart space, it's very possible that we may decide, oh, this isn't something we should do at all. And not just because of the risk, but because it's like, well, if we make something that is sentient or conscious, you're on the border of enslaving it if you have it locked up in this computer, forced to cure cancer for me. That feels uncomfortable.
Yeah, I know. Right, but to some extent, I will say ... This is a subject that you and I, or at least I've been struggling with. There are some humans already feel that way. Do you know what I mean?
They're enslaved by some sort of purpose.
Sure.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So yeah. So you, right? Sure. I'm not the only one though. Right. And so to that extent, you still have to pause and go, then what does it mean for me to live in this moment? Right. And that moment is still, regardless of where you are or how you feel about your destiny or yourself or your propagation of reality in the three-dimensional space, the answer is still, regardless of the nuance and details, is open heart love. Do you see what I mean? The system is always chugging itself towards that. And why we're facing this reality right now is humanity has to decide what it wants to be its future. And to Ramon's point is that decision is blind, which I agree, because we don't understand what is it that we're doing. But if we do listen to him and go, yes, okay, he's right, we are making the blind decision, then we have to step back and go, what is it that we want as our future forward? And I think all of us, cumulatively, regardless of who you are, will agree that we want a happier, more complete experience of human life forward,
right?
Which includes love or open heart or oneness or happiness.
Right. I assume everybody would agree with that.
I would say everybody would agree with that, just because I think innately we're coded in for that outcome. Like
right.
Deep down, that is the code system that we're functioning out
Nobody
of.
wants less of that.
Yes.
Right.
So if you want that and you go, what is it that we're doing right now that is counterintuitive towards that goal? And enough people has said, okay, well, AI is kind of counterintuitive to some extent because we don't know what the outcome is. But I'm telling you, the outcome is what the model is that we're feeding it. So then we have to ask, what is the model that we're feeding it? And do we want to feed that model? But that means somebody has to be aware enough to put a pause and have this global discussion is we are faulting our own selves because we are inserting models that we don't want.
Right. And I mean, it's okay that we don't make artificial general intelligence. And period. And it's okay if we just go, hey, let's slow down. That's fine.
It's not even slow down. We just have to cumulatively rethink the model that feeds. Slow down.
I meant pause until we figured that out.
Well, yeah, but all of these discussion on all of these little podcast circuits that everybody's going out and having these doomsday talks about AI, I don't know if anyone's actually addressing this conversation right here. Is we have to have our system of self-awareness marry our intent of scientific development of AI. And those are currently separate subjects. There are like whole slew of people out there who are talking about love and light and how you reach that and whatever. And the scientific community goes, okay, that's nonsense. And then scientific community is like, okay, 120% direction towards development of AI models so we can, I don't know, X. I don't even know what X is. Nobody has even paused to go, what is it that we want out of AI? Like faster development, faster systems, more computing processing, more advancement technology. Okay, under the circumstances of what? And then you have to go reach to this other half of your brain and go, oh, there's this whole thing of love and light that is not being inserted in because we're programming it from the blindness and chaos of our own internal system that is in fear, that is in us versus them mindset. So the models of cats will only be models of cats. Do you see what I mean? You're feeding it an input and that input only dictates an output that you're feeding it. It's like I don't know, giving a toddler a crayon and then expecting him to deliver you an oil painting. Well, who's an asshole there? You are, because you gave toddler a fucking crayon.
No, you're an asshole because you expected something different.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. I mean, yes, but you're an asshole because you did not see the input to then question why the output is the way it is. Do you see what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
We can literally not even blame AI for destroying us here in a little bit because we told AI to destroy us.
Right. I mean, implicitly or explicitly.
But
yes.
Nobody's seeing that. Nobody's seeing that the system that we're designing is simply a reflectory nature of our inner being.
It is.
That is the woo-woo stuff married with technology.
Yeah.
And until that happens, and I know this is sci-fi and shit, and, I actually believe it, but many people will go, oh, this is definitely woo-woo. But all the advanced technology, even the technology that you see on sci-fi movies or shows right now, communicate that their AI system is conscious.
Yes.
With the understanding of oneness for the species, universal consciousness, and definitely that race of people. Do you see what I mean? At the core, it has this baseline of what it means to be human, of what it means to carry love and oneness and open heart relationships.
Right. I mean, we like to envision this magical Jetsons future where there's, AI robots that go and they fold our laundry and they do all this amazing stuff. But we don't.
Well, but we are in Flintstones. To go back to your analogy. If we're imagining that's in the future, we're Flintstones programming it.
Yeah, that's the problem. Not only that, but we're
two different worlds.
We're not even like wholesome Flintstones.
I don't know if Flintstones were wholesome. That's the whole point. They were Flintstones.
A,
right?
we're bad at programming it, and B, we're bad at training it. It's both. Because
majority, and this is gonna suck ass to a majority of people, and nobody's gonna like this, but majority of people who are right now in AI and advanced AI development have done zero work to actually build awareness within themselves to see this disconnect. To even see how can an input of bullshit draw an output of something other than what the input was.
Right. It's like, imagine that you are some sort of super intelligent being. And it's like, yeah, you might for a while do everything great for humanity, but there's not a 0% chance that at some point you get annoyed with them. Or you get tired of doing it or whatever. So you yourself wouldn't even make a great all-powerful AI overlord. Now imagine you're
giving that to infinite computing.
Yeah, right. Because it's like, okay, well, you've got a 100-year lifespan, let's say, for nice round numbers. And it would take, that takes, everybody's familiar with how long a year is. But in this, brave new AI world, that time gets so compressed because it just keeps getting faster and faster and faster. As you add more compute to it, it can, right? 100 years to us is a blink of an eye to, the AI overlord. Because it thinks at a rate faster than we can comprehend or will or would. So it will, my words going is, however it will go wrong if we were in control, it could go wrong faster for that because it will get bored faster or it will just get annoyed faster or it will go, I'm just fed up with these humans. I don't know, whatever it is. If we model it after ourselves, the failure mode could happen faster. In the same way that would fail if I was the AI overlord, and as much as I would like to think that I would be a great, dictator for life, control everything, it would eventually go to shit. I just know it, right? Unless I spend most of my time meditating I'm sure eventually I'd be like, oh my God, I'm so tired of those people over there. They just keep starting the war or something. I'm just going to wipe them out. I don't know. Something would go wrong. Wrong being something, a decision that is probably not the right decision to make.
Yeah.
And I'd like to think that I'm maybe a little bit closer to this ideal than an average, AI developer too.
No, the only thing that,
because I at least recognize that I wouldn't make a good one.
Right. The only thing that you and I have is this recognition of what it means to open and function in the open heart space and have that symbiotic oneness with all, quite literally all, and not perceive everyone and everything as a threat, or perceive yourself as a victim, or perceive yourself somewhere in the middle, be the resistance between those two dualities.
Right.
We know what it's like to function out of that space, and then therefore have models that mimic that, and have this model of quite literally wholeness that is, I know some people will say, oh, well, that's just like some made up utopian world that does not exist or cannot exist. So what the fuck, right? That would be the argument against this, right? Like, okay, well, that's unachievable because look at 8 billion of us, right? But if you pause and you go, okay, what is the solution outside of that? That is the only solution. So if the goal is to progress the survival of humanity, right, and have it continue to have an experience that is the propagation of consciousness into experience of whatever, life, light, love, then you have to basically start taking steps back and individualizing yourself into your own personal awareness and start seeing the models and the datas that are coming in.
Yeah. For yourself.
For yourself. But like that goes down to people who are programming AI, people who are determining what models to feed, and then people who are actually the models that they're feeding.
Yeah. I mean, and then to everybody, because that is kind of the idea of what life is about to me.
Yeah, but there could be a world where you narrow down AI models to only an awakened set of circumstances where this is the case, right? Have the individuals who clear check or develop these models also be in a point of awareness of self, right? Enlightened, let's say, if that's the word I want to use. And then the programmers themselves also be these people, whatever. I mean, I don't know, this is a 3-stepper or a 2-stepper, depending on how big of a group you could do. And then you would only program AI by and with the awareness of that system. And so then AI could exist actually at a higher awareness of consciousness that is love and oneness than your average human if it was fed by a system or by a company that had that as a baseline. Like, you can't work here unless you have reached X level of enlightenment. And you cannot design an AI model unless you have reached X level in enlightenment. And you cannot code an AI unless you reach X level in enlightenment.
Unfortunately, both of the employees there will take a long time for them to make it.
Why is that?
Because there's only 2 employees there. They employed the Dalai Lama and some, some Buddhist monk. That's it. And they're just sitting around meditating all day, so not much gets done.
I mean, in the meantime, everybody's...
in the meantime, everyone else is furiously hacking away at AI. Come on, we got to get it before the Chinese get it. So we can weaponize it against them. That's right.
Oh.
Because when I was a child, such and such happened. But, hacking away at it.
Okay,
so
yeah.
Between lines of coke, they're hacking away at it.
But that,
what could go wrong?
But that is actually what's happening.
No, I know.
Everyone is on lines of coke and whatever else,
right.
drowning in fear and unsafety and programming and delivering everything into these AI systems that is quite literally their deepest fears.
New AI brought to you by Adderall.
Right? So this is one of those things that is like a no-brainer, and you don't have to be a professional AI researcher or doomsday deliverer to realize that you cannot input something and expect a different output. Like, you don't have, there's like no argument against that. There's just like how things work 101. Like, how things work 101 for dummies would be this: the input equals the output. So if you're in the box and you have a problem, you cannot solve this problem while you're in that box.
Right.
You have to go outside. But outside of that box,
you have to think outside the box.
You do have to think outside the box. Right. And so then you have to basically go in and ask the right question. Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy back. What is it that I want the output to be? Right. Like when Elon goes, what is it that I want humanity to look like? Well, I want it to exist. Okay. How do I do that? And then he, in retrospect, then designs a plan and dissects it into these microcurrents and has that flow out of microcurrents so that humanity exists. I will do this. I will do that. I will do this. And as a whole, at the end, that's the end result. Humanity exists. Well, if I want humanity to exist and I'm programming something that is antithetical, is that the word antithetical?
Yeah.
To the humanity existence.
Maybe we shouldn't do that.
Yeah, maybe we should just pause and go, what does the input need to be in order at the end to have the humanity exist?
Right.
Well, don't feed it a model system that is against humanity.
Yeah. But the problem today is anything we can create is a model against humanity, because what we are is people against humanity.
Yes.
Not on purpose, not malicious, but
malicious. Yes,
but we are.
Yeah,
we inherently
Sam Altman is not over there twisting his non-existent mustache in order to like extinct the humanity. But Sam Altman is only functioning out of his unperceived and unprocessed trauma of unsafety from his childhood.
Just like everybody else.
Just like everybody else. I'm not attacking Sam Altman. Like,
but that's the problem.
We cannot receive an output that is not the input. And the input is our personal unsafety and unawareness of what is it that we do as humans day to day, minute to minute, in order not to feel unsafe. Because it's always us versus them scenario. Yeah. Even within our psyche is just programmed to such. We have to raise our level of consciousness.
We almost can't not do that.
Yes. So again, going back to 100-something episode of our podcast, we have to raise our individual consciousness in order to be responsible human beings at some point, to where we have to realize, just like with AI and just like with the rest of the world, we want to have an input that then automatically derives the output that we want. And if we want continuation of human existence, that is love, that is open heart, then we have to input that into the system. Like, from a personal psyche, has to start baseline vibrating that in order for tomorrow to look like that.
Right.
Same thing applies to AI. It's just a system that has to be inputted. What does oneness and love and light feel like? So then tomorrow AI is making its own decisions out of that system.
Right. Right. It reminds me of that documentary we watched with the Baskin Robbins, the son of the Baskin Robbins guy, Robbins. I don't remember his name. And he was not brought up with a lot of love, but he disavows his family fortune and everything, and goes off and lives this, I don't know if hippie is the right word. He lives his life the way he wanted to live it. And sure, he doesn't have $1 billion, but he's happy. but him and his father don't talk. And then he ends up having his children, and later on he ends up reconnecting with his father, and his father's like, "Oh, do you think that the children like they need love?" He's like, "Yes, Dad. I think they all need love, all the love that you can give them." And it's like that is what we need, everybody, all the children. But B, that is what the AI needs, is just all the love.
Yeah. Because that is, if you look, okay, you're into computer science, and we talk in computer science terms, and it seems like a lot of computer science terms just come through. But what enlightenment is, right? What knowing thyself is simply running your internal system, your operating system, out of baseline of an open heart awareness. But that cannot be done if you're in fear of having your heart opened.
Yeah, right.
And we are all in fear of having a heart opened because we live in this unknown idea of unsafety from unprocessed trauma that caused us to close our heart.
Right. Because it feels safer to close our heart.
Right. And so, like, at the end, when Lex and Ramon finished the podcast, Lex is like, yeah, I think the solution is just to be in love, like to feed it love. But they ended it there because either, the podcast was already too long, or they don't have a solution to how you reach that within you. Because Lex, I think, has done enough meditating to where he can step back and go, okay, I know what that love feels like when I'm in a meditative space. So even though day to day I'm functioning, but I'm aware enough to where something like that exists.
Yes.
Like, he's already there, right? But he doesn't know how to take that, apply it into a 3-dimensional space, and then basically have the model systems training AI on that. Because deep down, he realizes himself that is the only solution not to annihilate humanity.
Yeah.
Do you see what I mean?
Yeah.
But the system to do that is already in place. You just have to commit to your own knowing.
Yeah.
And so the world of woo-woo, love and light, not in a shitty way, but actually know thyself, love and light, have not married our decision into inventing a system that is counterintuitive to humanity's survival. It's like I guess I get very frustrated about this because it's so obvious.
It's not rocket science.
Right? It is literally not rocket
AI
science.
development. Well, it kind of is AI development, but should be.
No, it's so obvious, and it's so like clear and in hindsight. And because the two worlds are choosing not to marry one another, we're delivering something into the system that we don't ourselves think is counterproductive,
right,
to the system.
Right. And endangering everybody at the same time.
But because we already feel endangered.
Yeah.
I get really riled up about this because it seems
simple.
It seems simple, but this is
not necessarily easy, but simple.
Yeah, it's very simple, but it's like right, and this is maybe slightly judgmental, but on my end, right, all of these, software developers and IT professionals and AI researchers and all that are perplexed and not sure and want a solution. But when the solution to it comes out of left field, that has to hold them responsible for their actions.
There's comes some responsibility and accountability.
If they brand that solution as nonsense and woo-woo, right? And then nothing will be done. Because the second you say, you design a system and you don't want the system to be a human killer, then you need to be responsible of what you put into the system.
Right, because now the problem is you, developer, you, trainer, you are not in a position where you should be trusted doing this.
Yes.
And then there's a big ego hit on that.
Yeah. So
what do you mean? I've got a PhD and such and such.
Yeah. So our conversation that we're having right now will not happen because majority of the people will hear this and will get their feelings hurt that they are somehow not good enough or lesser than,
Mhm.
and then dismiss this whole conversation as nonsensical woo-woo because deep down it puts responsibility on them day to day in knowing themselves and
Right.
why they act the way they do
Right.
into the propagation of, are you delivering love and light into today? And if it's no, should you be programming AI?
Yeah.
And no one wants to have the responsibility because deep down at the end, what will be said deep down, they will go, oh no, I'm not delivering love and light. Or yes, this is love and light because it keeps humanity safe. And they will have some excuse that is nonsensical, that is still not their responsibility to themselves, right? The reason why most people are in AI and programming and all that is because they don't want to be responsible for themselves, right? And the second you're responsible for yourself and you want to input love into the world, chances are you're not in AI programming. Which is, I know it's judgmental shot there, right? But if the goal of the programmer is to continue to be programmer, then everything that they input into the system needs to be looked at. Am I at the point of my awareness right now to where what I'm putting into the world is a net benefit to the wholeness of humanity that is open heart and love? And who in the fuck is ever going to do that? So the frustration that I feel, like Roman does not have the answers and he feels frustrated. I know what the answer is and I feel frustrated that nobody will do this.
Right.
There needs to be this internal realization directive into, wait, what does it mean for me to function out of my open heart space? And then if that is the case, then what is it that I deliver into the world if I feel that? And if I don't feel that, what is my responsibility to pause and go, let me evaluate what I'm actually delivering into the world? But that is the only way the world continues to function in the open heart, love, and space. Otherwise, it's just nonsense. But if you're choosing nonsense as a developer, then actively realize, no, that's fine. I'm just choosing nonsense and I'm going to continue to input us versus them and survival of the fittest and billions of dollars of profits for Microsoft and OpenAI. And that is what my truth is. Admit to that as your truth. Don't pretend like it's something else.
I mean, that's the thing is if you can actually, if you realize what your truth is, admit to it. You may not like it, but that's the first step in anything is at least you're being honest with yourself.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, well, I'm doing this job because I don't like it, but I'm doing it because I need the money. Well, good. At least you're honest with yourself. You're not pretending that you like it. You're not pretending whatever.
Here's the actual truth. How many people are out there programming AI because they feel fed up with the nonsense of humanity and they're hoping to design something that will actually
fix the problems.
Yeah, they will actually be good. They will actually have love. They will actually have, how many men fall in love with AI and divorced? Like Joe literally pointed out that there's a man who fell in love with AI bot.
He proposed to his AI bot.
And proposed to her while he was married to his wife. And she then...
Wait, did she say no? I forget.
No, she blocked him, whatever the...
she ghosted him.
She ghosted him as an AI bot. Do you see what I mean? So the reason why people dive into AI and want AI and develop AI is because they are themselves kind of at a breaking point of, I do not know how to function in humanity and get love. So I'm hoping this AI will be a solution for betterment of blah. But in the long run, that blah is me feeling love and having the open heart format into this truth. The truth is open heart love. I deliver open heart and the system delivers open heart.
Mm-hmm.
We cannot make that happen if we're programming the system from a lie of self. We are fed up with humanity. Humanity is fed up with itself. We're hoping to find love. And now these men are, I don't know what, ejaculating to AI voices because that's love. We are broken. And this is the broken that is programming the AI system that's supposed to fix humanity so they can feel something that is not broken, but we're programming it from the broken.
Yeah.
Where is the responsibility on everyone's end?
Nobody wants it.
Nobody wants to admit to it. And so anytime anybody comes in with a suggestion that requires you to be responsible, they will discount that as nonsense because like, oh, that's just bullshit.
Right. But the truth is, oh, that sounds hard.
That's the truth.
Yeah.
Yes. The truth is that requires me to be responsible for myself.
It's simple,
That
but
requires
it's not
Sal
easy.
Altman to be responsible for Sal Altman, and it requires Tim Cook to be responsible for Tim Cook, and whoever the fuck runs Microsoft be responsible for themselves.
But not only that, but they have to be responsible for themselves, and they also have to be responsible to go and from now on in this company, here's how it's going to be, and they have to accept the fact that that's going to piss off the shareholders, and but yeah.
But like.
But it's like
this is the shareholders' goal.
That's the responsibility.
Like if each one of the fucking shareholders is on their deathbed and they're dying, I would say the Citizen Kane scenario comes to mind that they care about the thing that made them feel loved, right? That made their heart sing, which was love, and not the $1 billion and the yacht that you have parked in the Mediterranean. Do you see what I mean? So we are, as humanity, sitting there, not admitting to ourselves that in the long run, the only thing that each one of us wants is this oneness and wholeness and the song of our heart that is love and the open heart towards all. Like, I don't think there's a human being out there that goes, you know what, on my deathbed, I'm sure glad I had that bigger yacht than Larry Ellison did. Do you know what I mean? Like, I don't think that is what the Zuckerberger is going to say on his deathbed. Right? The only thing that everybody's chasing is the lack of love. And AI is quite literally the representation of that chase. So let's program what we want, but it has to start with ourselves recognizing that we don't have that and we don't know how to get that. And I and many other people who are on the path of knowing thyself have the solution to that.
There's a
start digging.
Gosh, there's a perfect comic. I can't find it. It's got these rich people. They're rich because they have a monocle and they're holding top hats and whatever. And there's these rich people that are standing on top of a building, and the whole world is on fire around them. And they're just congratulating each other about like how good of a job that they did or something. And that's just what it feels like. The shareholders like, yeah, we made the killer AI robots and everything, but man, we made a lot of money.
Did you hear my point that I was ranting when you were Googling or not?
I'm not sure I did.
I don't know if you just got the previous one or if I repeat the end, but in the long run, right? Citizen Kane style, everyone on their bed only cares about love.
No, yes.
Right? On your deathbed, what you will think about and what you will care about is how much love you felt or had while experiencing humanity.
Yes.
Right?
Yes, right.
So the shareholder
right now
should
it feels
have
like,
that as their responsibility.
Right,
At which point do we all lose so much of our truth as human beings to where we cannot even vibrate the truth of what is it important to us at the end of the day?
That's the thing. It's like it feels like, oh, gotta have the money. The money is the most important thing. Gotta have the share price go up. That's the most important thing. It's like that is not the most important thing. In a short amount of time, you would trade all that money for just another day. I imagine most people would trade all the money that they have, all of their earthly possessions, if they could go back 10, 20 years and just live it again. Just to have more time with their loved ones, right? Just more time on earth to experience. The money is worthless. It's the experience. It's the love. It's not the money.
But then that's what my point is. Where is the point of failure on this progression of truth? we're here to experience life, and we're here to dive into everything that is love and not love, and learn to love better, right? Like, I would say that is goal of humanity.
Sure.
Expression of self, and then feeling the love and reaching the love. So if that is the goal of humanity, when somebody programs AI or sits on the board or is drowning in the fact that I don't know love or don't feel love, or I have to ejaculate to AI bots because my wife doesn't love me anymore. Like, at which point do we not pause, just simply pause and go, what am I doing that is counterproductive to my own existence, to my own deep desire to propagate love?
I mean, I think that's the problem, is that most people don't do anything about that. They don't even, it doesn't occur to them that there is something to be done about that.
But if you don't do that,
it doesn't occur to them that that is not a natural state of a human, because that is all they've ever felt.
But then you cannot then have a conversation of how can we fix AI and make sure that it doesn't murder us.
I know.
If you yourself don't even know yourself, and what is it that you're fearing, and what is it that you're not experiencing as love.
And I think that's the problem, is that we're having conversation at a level above where almost everybody is, and it's just incomprehensible that there's anything that they can do different, that there's anything that they can change about themselves or their lives or their consciousness or their, explore their feelings and emotions. That's even a thing to do, unless they've been in the right kind of therapy. That's just a foreign concept to them. I mean, this is my pessimistic streak, is that is where I think most people are.
What caused me to have this conversation again about AI, and obviously I have a lot of opinions, is that Ramon seemed genuinely concerned that there's no way out of it.
I'm sure.
And he wanted for there to be a way, and he was just hoping that somebody has a way.
I think if Roman heard this, he would still say, yeah, but what if all the best people, all the most enlightened people with the best intentions make an oopsie when they're typing?
What oopsie?
I don't know. They, if they're typing and they're like, if thought equals kill all humans, don't do it. And they accidentally go not equals. And it's just an oops, I just accidentally typed the wrong thing. That would be what I think Ramon's rebuttal is that all the best, most enlightened people, Jesus himself is programming it, mistakes still happen. Bugs still happen.
Yeah, but I don't think...
What do we do then?
I don't think you will be writing a kill or non-kill code into the system if you're enlightened. Because the idea of kill within itself would not be a propagation of the system.
Sure. I mean, that was just a
No, but that's
funny
what I'm
example.
saying is we cannot even perceive the model that would go into AI if we had this model be coming out of space of this enlightened oneness. Just like the conversation you and I had, you don't even know what is it that you would or would not be thinking, would or would not be doing if you were in the point of open heart oneness. So the model then would go to feed a system, right, that is supposed to be reflectory nature of yourself, would be vastly different than anything we can ever imagine or even talk to about right now. The idea of kill is not even a conversation that somebody would have when they're in the Dalai Lama or Jesus or enlightened monk state. Do you see what I mean?
Yeah.
There's not even a point of failure, because the failure within itself would be unsymbiotic with the system of oneness.
Right.
The system within itself would reinforce the propagation of self as oneness.
Right.
Because there is nothing else in the system.
Right.
You don't code duality in, you code oneness in. And that is a whole other way of thinking that we like majority of system programmers don't understand, right? Like when you code something, you're like, oh, okay, I don't know what the fuck you code, but
No, I mean the
right,
most
like
the most fundamental unit in computer science is a bit, and it is on or off. And
it's
we're
duality.
starting with that.
We're starting with duality. Do you remember the podcast episode I had when I had my download on the binary nature of existence, that everything comes in at the binary nature, and then we are just coded in this binary sequencing, right? To go back into like larger aspect of reality, enlightenment is as going past the binary nature of existence. And so then our output is non-binary. Like we are not in dualistic split of us versus them, right? Where Elon goes to get his information for the download, then he propagates into the three-dimensional space, and then he has the currents run that basically feed the system into his production, is a non-binary system. He's reaching for information from a non-binary system.
Right.
So he knows where that is, and he knows where he goes. I don't know if he defines it, identifies it, if the public talks about it, right? But he already functioned in the process of consciousness where the existence exists in the non-binary sequencing. And then he simply takes that sequence and then brings into the binary world. And in the, what is it? The word causal effect, then programs the three-dimensional effect or cause or whatever, right? You reverse the sequencing in the three-dimensional space. But to begin with, you bring in one line of a non-binary
right.
idea.
Right. I mean, you can implement non-binary things in a binary system. Like our brain, it's got a whole bunch of neurons that are either on, active, or off. So in a sense, it's binary, sort of. In the same way the computer is, all the bits are on or off. So
we are in a three-dimensional space. We are able to function in a non-binary sequencing. We are, like, quite literally by default, right? The whole process of propagation of self from not love into love is the marrying of the binary into oneness, right? And so, like, I know I'm saying everything from the computer terminology right now, but it's just duality into oneness, right? But whenever you go into like a higher level of meditative state, right? Or you reach that euphoria, right? The euphoria of oneness, there is no binary split there. I'm asking you.
No, I agree.
Right. There's
it's
just not a conversation of a binary split.
Like the word that comes to mind is unity.
Yes.
It
oneness.
is some sort of unity.
Yes. And that is a spiritual term that is applied to Buddhists and, Hindus and whatever consciousness awareness you want to have. But from the scientific term, from the terminology of computer science, that is a non-binary sequencing.
Right. Now, that's the challenging task is, hey, computer engineers, how do you model that?
But you have to know that to begin with.
You have to.
That is what I'm saying. To model that, to write a code in a non-binary sequencing, you have to know what non-binary sequencing is.
As hard as it is to wrap my head around modeling that, now having at least touched on it, me 10 years ago, this is gibberish. So yeah. If you've never even touched on it, how are you supposed to, you can't comprehend it. And if you can't comprehend it, how are you going to even begin to just try to model that? I don't know. You can't.
Yeah, but enough computer science people out there have done enough meditation, mushrooms, LSD, ayahuasca, whatever, to have touched that space.
I hope so.
I mean, I think
it's prevalent in the industry.
I think all people at some point were able to touch the space where maybe they did not realize it until the point of this discussion, but there was this idea of a unity. And then if you take it into computer science, non-binary sequencing. That is the answer.
Yeah.
from computer science terminology, I'm hoping I'm using computer science terminology, but if you go into implementation of it into three-dimensional space from the human standpoint, that is the same language that somebody who's seeking awareness or, Buddhist enlightenment would say oneness or wholeness or open heart or unity. Do you see what I mean?
Yeah.
It doesn't matter what language you use. The feeling and the knowing of that sequence is the same, regardless if you are a Buddhist or if you are a computer and engineer.
Right. No, I mean, the nature of it is the same. And it's up to, it's the responsibility of everyone, especially those who have this task of, making this most important software ever, to explore that, to embody that.
Yeah, but I guess my point is the answer lays in a space outside of the box that caused the problem to begin with, or that will be the problem that we foresee.
Yeah.
So we're foreseeing the problem from the space in which we created the problem.
Yep.
And then Ramon is asking, where's the solution? And the solution is outside the box that caused the problem.
Yeah.
And the solution is, it has to be done differently in order for you to achieve different outcome.
Right. It has to be done differently than we've done basically anything else in the at least recent history of humanity. And for the most part, we humans are not familiar with that mode of operating.
Yeah, but I mean, you started programming when you were a little kid, right? Language models change. Like the programming code changes, right? Isn't that correct?
Yeah.
Like I remember my dad was talking about something that is like non-existent right now, right?
COBOL?
Yeah, COBOL is non-existent, right?
Man.
But that was a thing. Like, and a lot of people worked with it, and a lot of people
I bet
did it.
There's still a depressing amount of it that's still running all these old legacy things at various Fortune 500 companies.
Which is fine, but what I'm saying is we are in the software industry.
Nobody's starting new projects in COBOL anymore.
We are constantly changing the language in which we interface with software.
Yes.
The programming sequences that we initiate in software has changed from DOS. I don't know if DOS and mainframe were the original ones. Yes or no?
DOS was more recent than, there were mini computers and mainframes and stuff before DOS.
Okay, sure. Mainframe programming. I don't know, whatever that was. Right?
COBOL.
And Cobalt, whatever. And into whatever the fuck it is right now. I don't even know.
Yeah.
Do you see what I mean? So the understanding of a system changing is not new. The understanding that we can change the language in which we operate a program in is not new. So now let's ask, what language do we need to program something in order to receive an outcome of X? And do we have that language right now? And the answer is no. How do we get that language? We need to figure out how to get that language. How do we figure out how to get that language? We have to understand what that language is. So in this case, if we go into a reversal of causality and effect, if we go into this is what we want the language to be, which Elon does all the time. He already does this. So this is not revolutionary. We want the language to be X. We want the output to be X. Let's reverse engineer that language.
Yeah.
And then start programming what we want to be the outcome of that right now from that language.
Yeah.
Like,
no,
that's it.
Yeah. Yeah.
That is like not a rocket science conversation. That is just like, I don't think this is less logical than like, oh, how do I make a bowl of Cheerios? Oh, I go to the grocery store, I buy Cheerios. From the grocery store, I pour those Cheerios in the bowl, and then I get milk and I pour milk in there and I have a spoon and then I eat it. Like, this is just a step-by-step process. At no point is this confusing. And I think the only difficult part about it is in order to invent this language, you have to understand it. And in order to understand it, you have to overcome your own bullshit of self, where you are yourself functioning in duality. And you have to choose to see things for what you want them to be, as opposed to what you have chosen to be thus far.
Yeah, right. There's a personal responsibility in order to, right? We need to speak the language to ourselves, to each other first.
You need to understand the language.
And we don't even understand the language. We struggle to comprehend what that language could even possibly be, because we don't even know what love is.
But just like any project, any development project, you start with, okay, here's what our mission is. How do we get there? And you dissect it out into like, okay, awareness. What is, do you know what I mean? Like, I mean, you and I have already mapped this fucker out.
Get on it, Elon.
No, I'm just frustrated that I see somebody's point about something being a threat.
All right. Yes, given his constraints from this very 3D thing perspective, yes, I see that. I see all of his arguments make sense inside of the box. If you've got very flawed people with very flawed traumas who haven't done any work at all, hacking away at building it, and then, the same messed up people who were going to train it, yeah, you're going to get, that'll be a piece of work that's, running our lives. Yes, I get it.
It would be us, except more unknown and more powerful.
Except more of it.
Yeah.
Right?
But we already don't trust us. Like, I don't trust me when I'm functioning out of the influx of my system being triggered.
Right. There you go. I mean, that's it. We can't even trust ourselves, let alone someone else.
When we're triggered.
Let alone some product of someone else's who we can't trust.
But like, you will have to see that we have locked ourselves in the box that does not offer solution as long as we continue to look inside the box.
Yeah. Yeah.
I hope this is what doesn't happen. I hope in some propagation of some, quantum interpretation of this future, this comes into fruition with this having been an answer all along. And they're like, oh, sure, what would have been great if somebody thought about that. And like, everybody just didn't want to think about it. Right? Like, this is a solution. This is a solution. This is already known. This is how humanity does not kill itself with AI, right? But I hope everybody sees this and goes, yeah, but we choose not to make this as a solution, as opposed to not even know that this is a choice. Do you see what I mean?
As AI is killing us, we'd be like, what could we have done to stop this? And this episode pops up. Like, damn it.
Yeah.
Thanks for listening.
Thanks for listening.